Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where we're getting ready for autumn already. I know it may seem a bit early, it is only August as I am filming this and as you are possibly watching this, but September is just around the corner and I thought it would be good to think about which palettes I might suggest, stuff that's already out, well-established palettes that you might be interested in picking up for some lovely autumnal, warm, fuzzy feeling kind of looks. So if that sounds interesting, please keep watching. Alright everyone, let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Carolyn and welcome to my little makeup space here on the YouTubes. We are going to be looking at 7 palettes today. I have reviews of 4 of these, so I will link them down below. I will also list where you can get everything down below, so if you are interested in any of these products, there is links for you. I don't have any affiliate codes, so it's just where you could get it if you were interested. So anyway, I picked 7 palettes from 7 different brands because I wanted to hit different price points, different types of brands. So some are quite big mainstream brands, some are smaller indie brands. So like going over all of that. So I've picked 7. Actually, I think there's quite a few more in my collection that I would have picked, but they're like duplicating either brands or color stories from these. So this is kind of my take on what I thought would be good for autumn. When I think of autumn makeup, or even autumn in general, I tend to think of starting to go into warmer tones. So reds and reddy brown kind of colors, maybe some oranges to kind of take us into autumn, like pumpkiny times. But then I also think of kind of Halloweeny colors, so the purples and greens a little bit as well. So I think the big shift is like going towards, sorry, there's an itchy thing on the back of the shirt. I think it's more about going towards like rich colors, like jewel tones, or just sumptuous things that make you feel cozy and comfortable and warm. So that's the vibe that I'm going with all of these palettes. So I'm going to start with one that was actually a summer release just this past, I think it was 2 months ago or something like that, but I actually think it's going to work really well for autumn, and that is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. So I do have a review of this one. I will put it down in the description box below, but this is, sorry for the reflection, it's a very shiny packaging. Let me try. Okay, so this is what she looks like. So it's definitely in the red brown neutral territory, so especially colors like these 4 here, like this little quad right there, actually this whole like 6-pan area right there, I think of as very kind of autumnal. So I want warm colors, I want warm browns kind of in this vein. I also think these kind of yellowy mustardy colors definitely like evoke autumnal vibes for me. So there's a few colors that I think are a bit more summery, so some of the more bronzy pinky colors down here, but overall I actually think this is going to work. Sorry, you can already get a sneak peek at the stuff down below. I think this would work really well as an all-round warm neutral palette for autumn. I do have some issues with this palette. You can just look at you can watch my review to see kind of my thoughts on this, but overall I think kind of maybe these upper 2 rows would be like a really beautiful warm red brown color story for autumn. And I enjoyed the formula in this palette. I didn't have any particular issues with it, so if you like Natasha Denona and you're thinking about something for autumn, this one might be a good one to pick up. There's also, I don't have it, but like the less expensive, I think it was a Sunset, or there's like a Sunrise palette. Those might be good too. I don't have them, so I didn't want to show you something that I didn't personally own myself. So going on a very different end of the price spectrum is one of my very, very favorite Colourpop palettes, and this is the Whatever palette. This was actually their fall release last year, and you will see very quickly that it is a much loved palette of mine. It is quite disgusting over in this realm. But these kind of, again, warm, pinky, red, orangey colors, I think for me really screams kind of autumn looks a lot. This color here, Miss Brightside, is one of my absolute favorite colors that Colourpop has ever made. I love it, and I think this gives you this deep, rich, red burgundy eye look that, oh, you're grooming yourself, that just screams autumn to me. And then all of these colors up here, again, they're kind of on the warm orangey kind of side of things, and I love this. I don't wear a lot of just pure oranges as eyeshadows, it's just not my thing. So these kind of more red, brown, orange colors I prefer, and I think a couple of these, like Pass It On here, is really good. I love Bad Guy, Miss Brightside, and then like Tardy or Talk to You Never kind of ones. Those ones I love, like all together. And like Ditching You, like all over the eye. I mean, look how pretty this color is here. It's so, so pretty. So get a little sneaky peek of what that looks like. Where is the camera? There we are. So I think this is one of their best autumn releases. The one the year before was a Good Sport palette, which I also have. It is good. I do like it, but I like this one quite a bit more. Especially, I just think the color story for me is just really autumnal and sumptuous, and I love it. So I think this is a really good one to pick up for autumn. Okay. Moving on into different autumnal color stories. There is the Melt She's in Parties palette. So I do have a review of this. I love this palette. I think there are some, I think they could have switched out a couple of the colors, but this kind of like gothic purple color story in here for me is definitely very autumn inspired. Especially like this deep purple, this Mean Streak color, just like really smoky, deep purple outer corner with a little bit of this lightness in there. Also, the She's in Parties and Sleepwalk are more on the red, purple, warm color palette. So again, I think like all over the eye for like a really lovely autumn look. Those would be so pretty. So it's very different, but it is more in like, I don't want to say Halloweeny because it's not a Halloween palette, but that kind of, I think of deep purples as being autumnal as well, but then maybe more moving into winter time. So I think this is a palette that I'm going to use a lot come the autumn term for work. So it's also a very, I personally think, a work friendly one because it's quite subdued tones. They're not too bright, not too vibrant, not too over the top, but you can get a really deep, beautiful, smoky look with this one. And then this color, Skeleton Kiss and Strange Love, these two shimmers, so cool. Absolutely love them. So yeah, I think this one would be another good one to pick up for autumn. Obviously, you don't have to pick up any of these. These are just ones that I like. Another one that I still need to do a review of this one, but this is like one of my favorite neutral palettes right now, and that is the Nomad by Juvia's Place. And this one is definitely on the more orange, green, grungy kind of side. So I think these colors, I have a lot of these. Go check out my neutral palettes that I love. This color story for me is very autumn as well. Just so you know, autumn is my absolute favorite season of the year. I grew up in a place where you had beautiful green, transition into gold and orange leaves, and Halloween was a big thing when I was a kid, so it's definitely like absolutely my favorite season. It's also when my birthday is in autumn, so for me, I love everything about fall. And for me, these kind of grungy tones work really well for that time of the year. Again, we have kind of these khaki, warm, greeny browns down here, and this kind of lovely khaki green up here. But then we also have the warm orangey yellow colors up in this corner, And I think this is like a neutral, leaning green, orange palette that I think would work really well for the autumn season. Also, it kind of has a little bit of like a witchy vibe with the witchy hat thing on here. I don't know if it's supposed to be, but it kind of gives me that vibe. And I think this color story is really beautiful for autumn. And I think, and the quality of this particular one, I think is really, really good. I haven't always gotten on with the Juvia's Place eyeshadow formula, but this particular palette I think is excellent. Okay, 3 more to go. 4 down, 3 more to go. Alright, you've heard me rave about this palette a lot. I do love it, and that's the Lethal X Jolina, sorry, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, palette. So it's Lethal Cosmetics, that's an indie European brand. Here we go. And this one is almost like a warm jewel-toned rainbow palette, because we have red, orange, green, blue, purple, we got kind of everything in here. But the tones, again, are more on the subdued to jewel toned kind of look. And like this red and this brown and this orange, like so beautiful with this green on the top, is going to give you a beautiful like autumn leaves kind of look. And I think this really has quite a lot. I think the only color for me that doesn't really like work for autumn here would be Worth It and there. But I think the rest of the color story definitely has like kind of autumn vibes to me. I did check, it is still available, so if you are interested, you can get this one still. But it's like a little bit different. It's like autumn with a twist. One that looks really similar to this that has just been released is the Sigma Untamed something palette, which I really do want to get. But I think it has a very similar kind of color story for that, and that I'm assuming is Sigma's main autumn release. So yeah, so it's this one, or there's the Sigma one coming out if you are interested in that kind of color story. So another one that I think works really well from autumn, but is more on the pinky kind of side, is going to be the Anastasia Beverly Hills X Jackie Aina palette. This is one of my favorite Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. I think the color story is really, really beautiful. And again, you're going like this quad right there is very autumn quad. There are 6. The 6th area right here is, I think, very warm brown autumn, but with like a greeny gold kind of shifting color story in there. And then also these kind of red purples, I think really work well for the autumn season. I think for me, these kind of bright pinky colors are the only ones that slightly don't work a little bit for like autumn. I mean, they work beautifully with the palette, but I don't really think of pink and autumn as going together. But I think overall, it's a really beautiful story in here, and I think it could be a really good go-to everyday autumn palette. I love this one. I think it's a really, really beautiful one. Another one that could be good would be the Sultry palette. I don't know if the Sultry one is still available, but I think it would also be a good like super neutral for autumn palette. Okay, last one, and it's really just here because it's essentially it's the Halloween palette, and that is going to be the Lunar Beauty MoonSpell palette. And I love this thing. Manny did such a beautiful job with this. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But it's definitely a Halloween color story with the purples and the greens. But I think some of these more grungy greens and kind of this mid-tone purpley area up here can work really well for a very soft, simple autumn look. I love these deep purples, which really make me think kind of more Halloween-y colors. So green and purple is Halloween for me, and orange, of course. So like those colors are, you know, beautiful in there. And I think you have all of them in this palette. You have a really interesting range of greens down here, and then really beautiful purples up here, and then kind of slightly on the orangey tone just over here. So I don't think it's like the best like everyday autumn palette. I think some of the others would be better suited for that, but I think if you want like a little bit of Halloween fun and like some autumnness in that, I think this would be the one that I would particularly pick up. It's also just one of the most beautiful palettes that I own. I mean, the packaging, come on, it's so cool. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. Just a really short one to kind of think of some autumn inspiration for you. I know there's a lot of new releases coming out, but there's actually some stuff that's been out for a while that is pretty darn good for autumn, and you may already have in your collection, or you could find maybe at a discount somewhere. I don't know, maybe, possibly. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you could hit the like button down below. You could come subscribe, hang out with me again. Free for you, free for me, winners all around. All right, take care of yourselves, have a really lovely day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.